Royal City Hoops podcast is back. I am so fucking pumped to actually say that again. Kids went back to school this week, and I have free time since I've been home since April taking care of them. So we're going to talk some hoops, and we're going to try to do this as often as we can. We're going to do some previews, but in this episode, we're going to talk about a lot of the names that you hear in trade rumors and you're going to continue to hear, whether it's buyouts, trades, etc. We're going to talk about the mid-market reality as a team. So first and foremost, Ben Simmons is on the front of everybody's tongue. Podcasts are being done just about the Ben Simmons situation. I listened to one last night with Brian Windhorst and Tim McMahon and Tim Bontemps talking about his situation. So I don't think anything's happening with that anytime soon. I don't know. I'm just guessing. What it sounds like is both sides are firmly entrenched. Ben Simmons does not want to play for the Sixers. And the Sixers are not going to make a trade just to make a trade unless it helps them propel their championship window of opportunity, which they seem to have. All they've done recently is really exhaust any trade possibilities. And the Sixers are kind of in a holding pattern for the other shoe to drop in the Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard situation, which I can't really explain. I don't know why Bradley Beal would still want to be in Washington, other than he really likes it there and doesn't see himself leaving, which is totally cool, and I think he's an amazing player. Washington is going to be probably better than a lot of people think this year. They have some nice pieces around him. They don't have a second guy. Spencer Dinwiddie's pretty good. He might turn out to be that if he can bounce back from his ACL. And nowadays, an ACL injury is just kind of like taking a year off. 20 years ago, you blow out your ACL, that was a big deal. Now, teams don't seem to have doubts if you blow it out. So that's an interesting team. Damian Lillard, who knows what's going to happen there. Again, he doesn't seem to want to leave. He wants to make it happen there. But his window's closing. He turned 30, I think, this year. He can't keep waiting if he wants to win a chip. And, it's a tough spot for Portland because they want to be loyal to him. He's been great. They don't want to give up. But they're a mid-market team. They're not getting a ton of free agents. And what we've seen with mid-market teams is they got to build through the draft. They've done that. They got CJ and Dame, but they haven't got the third guy. The other pieces they've brought in haven't really taken them to the next level. And it's not that easy. You can't just say, oh, draft better. It's a crapshoot. We've been over this in another episode. So you're seeing that Portland maybe is just a good team in a bad time. Golden State, the Lakers, Brooklyn. It just may not happen. How many teams, how many players, all-time greats in the Jordan era would have won a chip except for this Michael Jordan guy who won 6? You don't tell me Patrick Ewing wouldn't have taken one if he could have got one. He would have taken the lockout season championship that the Spurs won, no problem. I don't think we can have monikers around championships saying this championship is worth more than the other. Who cares? They're hard to win. So I think Portland's in a bit of a quandary, and it feels like to me, they're just waiting for Dame to say, yeah, I think we're done here. It's been great. We could stay friends, but I want to see other people. And then he's in charge. That deal will probably be the other shoe. Then Philadelphia has to figure out if Ben Simmons is what they want. I think they're overvaluing Ben Simmons, thinking you're going to get this massive haul for him. He's not Dame Lillard. He is not a top 25 player. Go through the teams, go through the players in your mind. If Ben Simmons is a top 25 player, what are you giving up for him? Dame is. You're selling the farm for Dame if you're a team that thinks he can make you win a chip, if you're Philly, and I think that's what they're holding out for. Is he a good piece for a 45-win team? Or, you want to win 40-plus games? And I'm quoting or paraphrasing Tim Bontemps. Ben Simmons can get you there. He can't get you over the hill. So you're not selling everything in the kitchen sink for him. He's another shoe. They are waiting for the Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal saga to play out. How that's going to go, I don't know. Does Simmons play a game at all for them? He seems to not want to. He's forcing their hands. He can't increase his value, unless he starts hitting jump shots, and that would be a big plus. So if I were him and I was confident in my jumper, I might think about signing up and said, then you can get a better deal. You can make this thing happen sooner. But I don't know. I feel all of those are interconnected. One deal that I think that isn't being talked about that could be is a guy, Zach LaVine, out of Chicago. He did not get an extension this year. He's extension eligible next year. Chicago is negligible, and there's a lot of talk how he is really enjoyed in the offseason playing on the Olympic team with really good players. And Chicago doesn't have really good players. Lonzo Ball, nice piece. He's good, but they have two offensive guys in DeMar DeRozan, who they way overpaid for, and I think in my mind is an insurance policy if Zach LaVine bolts, and Nick Vucevic. They can't guard anybody. A trade for Ben Simmons would be really interesting because LaVine fits the bill of the second banana who could really take your team to the next level. And Simmons in Chicago really would make their defense better and be more of a facilitator. Does he fit with Lonzo? Who knows? Who cares? Run it. I mean, you need talent. Talent wins. And the Bulls have Kobe White too. They have some decent players. That would be a good trade for both teams. That's all going to depend on what happens. If the Bulls come slow out of the gate and they suck and they're middling below 500, I think the writing's on the wall that Zach LaVine, who enjoyed his Olympic experience, is going to be like, I want to play with a good team. He had his first 4-game win streak at the Olympics since he was at UCLA, and I think he's been a pro 7 or 8 years. That's not a good sign. So he's an interesting piece in that deal of those 4 guys. Now, you have other names that have been tossed around in trades. Buddy Hield's one of them. He's going to be tossed around a lot because I don't see at the $20 million price tag with the draft picks that Sacramento's made, specifically De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, and Davion Mitchell, who looked great in the Summer League. Again, it's Summer League. Where does Buddy Hield fit long-term with that? No, I don't know. $20 million, that's good trade bait. That's a movable contract for something real. But Sacramento's made it clear that they do not want to send either Halliburton or Fox to the Sixers for Ben Simmons. So that's kind of a dead end there. That was a team in my mind that I thought, ooh, that could work, but the Sixers weren't able to get Sacramento on board for that, it sounds like, from the rumor mill. You have a few other names that I'm partial to. Pascal Siakam, there's been talk in the offseason of him being traded, especially after the Raptors drafted Scotty Barnes, who I think fits really well. If you watch the Raptors play the last 2 years, they ran Siakam out at the 5 a fair bit. And if you're going to go small in the NBA, which a lot of teams are now, he's a nice piece for you to be switchable, aggressive defensively, get some shooting and movement at the 5 and some shot creation. That makes them very unique. They also added Precious Achiuwa, who I like. Goran Dragic is maybe just a chip to move around because of his massive salary and the demand for him. And hopefully the Raptors can turn him into something. Or he's productive in his 1 year in Toronto. This is his expiring deal. So not a long-term thing. I like what the Raptors did. I don't see Pascal Siakam going anywhere, especially with the way the game is played now. You're going to run out a front line of Pascal at the 5, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, and Fred VanVleet. I think that's a really good roster. You're going to win 50% of your games. You're going to be a 500 team. You're going to make the playoffs. Like we talked about, playing hard is a skill, and these mid-market teams have to draft well, and the Raptors have done that. Do I think they could have drafted Jalen Suggs? Would I have been excited about that? Yeah. I don't think Scotty Barnes is a mistake, and the Precious Achiuwa addition is a nice little add-on. So they're in a good place, and their timeline for getting better and better and better is pretty good. So I don't see Pascal really getting traded. He's making a lot of money, and he's got a lot of potential. Down year last year. Emotionally, apparently, he wasn't in a good place. They're playing in Tampa. You got to think it wasn't going to go well. The next names on the list are John Wall and Kevin Love, and those are massive contracts that are going to get bought out. So eventually, it's just the Blake Griffin saga. So that's what I got for this one. It's nice to be back. My wife's getting home, so I'm going to turn this off, and I'll see you soon.